welcome to today's video. Today, we are talking about parenting. So, what do you think are the most important challenges a new parent faces? Please pause the video and write a few ideas. Great, now think about this. Did you take care of a robot baby in school? And if so, what happened? In my case, I think I did it twice when I was in school, and I didn't enjoy it that much. Now, I'll tell you more about it during class. Please think about your experiences so we can all share together. Okay, great. Now, we're going to listen to a conversation. Please answer these two questions. What was Brandon's class, and was this a positive experience? Let's go ahead and listen.
Page 75. Listening and speaking. Bringing up baby? B. Listen again. Are the sentences true or false? Write T or F. Then correct the false sentences.
Oh, really? I didn't know you'd done that. How interesting. So, tell me about it. Like, when did you do this?
I did it my freshman year, when I was 14.
And was it like for a class or something?
Yeah, it was part of a required health class, but I can't remember the actual class name. But yeah, something I guess we had to do.
So was it mandatory?
It wasn't a mandatory class until a couple years before I had to take it, when one of the new phys ed teachers thought it would be necessary for teenagers to take this class at a younger age to be more aware.
So, what did you have to do?
What I had to do was take care of a baby simulator by changing its diapers, feeding it, rocking it, and burping it. They were all sound sensitive, so it could start crying if there was a sudden loud noise, and there were sensors on different parts of the body to detect abuse or neglect or whatever, and that would cause it to start crying too.
Oh, wow. So, did it cry a lot?
Oh, yeah. It seemed like it would cry all the time, and it was really time-consuming to take care of it. The worst part about it was having to wake up during the middle of the night at least 3 or 4 times to take care of it.
I bet. Had you known how hard it would be, would you still have done it?
I guess I had no choice, really. But yeah, I think it was worth having the experience of knowing what it's like. And it could certainly make people think twice before having kids, especially at a young age. At first, before getting the baby simulator, I was thinking, how hard could it really be? To me, it was just an easy A. It wasn't until the first few hours of having it that I realized it was going to take a lot more work.
Do you think you learned a lot from it then?
I guess I learned that it's pretty much a full-time job just taking care of a kid, especially at such a young age, and it should definitely require some thought before having one.
So it did change your views about parenting?
Yes, it did, mostly because of how much work and time is necessary to raise a child.
Did your friends all do it too? Did they have the same experience as you?
Every freshman took the class because it was mandatory, so yes, I knew a lot of people who did, and they all were talking about how hard and annoying it was to take care of the baby simulators.
So, do you think all high school freshmen should have to do it? Or do you think that's too young to have to learn about parenting?
I don't think it would be needed for people even younger than I was to go through the experience, but it was a great program for people at my age at that time. Otherwise, how would you know how hard it is to take care of a baby, you know?
That's really interesting. So, were you a parent of teenagers, you'd want them to do it too then?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so if you notice, this was a health class that Brandon took, and overall he says that it was a positive experience, right? Okay, so now I want you to please pause the video while you match the sentence halves. Okay, you should have asked any new parent the question, and you will get the answer, absolutely. Had you known how hard it would be, would you still have done it? It was a great program for people at my age at that time. Otherwise, how would you have known how hard it is? Should you think your experience will be different? Think again. And finally, were you a parent of teenagers? You'd want them to do it too then. Did you have the same? Excellent. So now, I want you to please pause the video while you think about what these sentences are expressing. Are you talking about real or unreal situations? So if you notice, these are conditional sentences, and in fact they are unreal. So, if you notice, these sentences are not using if, they are using other structures, which is what we're going to be looking at today. Now, let's begin. So, the first option is to use imperatives and. So we can use an imperative at the beginning to set the condition. And we will introduce the result by using and. Look at the example. Ask any new parent the question, and you will get the answer, absolutely. If you remember, imperatives are like instructions or orders. So in this case, it would be ask. And of course, I introduce my result by saying and you'll get the answer. Now, in a more traditional manner, this would be your conditional sentence. If you ask any new parent the question, you will get the answer absolutely. Okay, let me continue. Now, other option is to use inversion. We have a couple examples. So, we can use inversions, and this is mostly like in a formal context. The first option is to use were plus subject and possibly an infinitive if you have a verb. Look at the first one. Were you a parent of teenagers, you'd want them to do it too then. If you notice here, I only have were in the subject. Originally, you could have said, if you were a parent of teenagers, you would want them to do it too then. And then, we have the second sentence. Were you to have a baby next year, how would you prepare? If you notice here, I needed a verb, so I used an infinitive. Instead of saying, if you were to have a baby next year, how would you prepare? Now, let's continue. Another option is to use had, subject, and past participle. Had you known how hard it would be, would you still have done it? If you notice, we have had, your subject, and the past participle. Instead of saying, if you hadn't known how hard it would be, would you still have done it? If you notice here, I am using if, right? And lastly, you can use should, subject, and verb. Should you think your experience be any different, think again. Or, if you think your experience will be different, think again. Now, another option is to use otherwise. And otherwise means if not. We can use it to introduce what will happen if we don't do something. Look at the example. It was a great program for people at my age at that time. Otherwise, how would you have known how hard it is? Instead of saying, it was a great program for people at my age at that time. If not, how would you have known how hard it is? Okay, great. So let's go ahead and practice. Please go to workbook page 50, exercise A. Here, we need to rewrite the underlined sentences with the structures in parentheses. Look at the example. If you ask any parent about the challenges of a new baby, he or she will have stories to tell. Since I needed to use an imperative, I just started with ask. Ask any parent about the challenges of a new baby, and he or she will have stories to tell. How would you do number 2? If we had known how difficult it would be, we need to start with had. In this case, it's an inversion, right? So we should have, had we known how difficult it would be to manage a new baby in school, we would have waited. Pause the video and work on the other 3, please. Okay, so for number 3, you had an inversion again. Were we to do it again, we would be better prepared. In this case, because you had a verb, you needed to use an infinitive. Number 4. Had I been less shy, I might have asked for help. And finally, otherwise, those first months may be more difficult than necessary. Okay, now we're going to be working on part B. Please complete the sentences using the words in the box. Please notice that you need to repeat one of the words here. Pause the video. Okay, so number 1 you should have, were I to start over as a parent. Number 2, had I studied child development? Number 3, my grandmother once told me, should you think raising children is easy? Think again. Next, talk to any parent. 5, should you decide to have a child? And 6, otherwise you might not know how to react if something goes wrong. Did you get this right? Perfect. Now, please go to Student Book page 75, exercise B. Here you need to change the if clauses using the structures in parentheses. Look at the example. If I had the chance to take care of a doll in school, I would have said, no way. We needed to use had and inversion, right? Had I had the chance. Pause the video while you work on the rest, please. Great, we're going to check in class. I will see you then. Bye-bye.